Hello everyone, it's been a long time since I made a tutorial. I hope you all miss me. Today I'm going to teach you all how to build beautiful suburbs, which is a pretty simplified tutorial. And this tutorial does not require you to have any plugins or so in your city, so it's very simple to make. First thing first, a suburb is an outlying district of a city, especially a residential one characterized by charming streets, houses and greenery. As you can see here, the houses are built along streets which connect them to larger roads and avenues, linking them to the city center. And right now I shall start on the tutorial. First thing first, you have to find an empty piece of land. And before you build any streets or so, it's best that you construct some railway tracks to improve the infrastructure of city, or you could build some highways as well. After doing so, the most important thing about building suburbs is using streets. Streets are smaller and they have less capacity, but they are better for suburbs because they are cheaper and they are more beautiful, and they complement better with the small houses that you are going to get later on. And the way you build streets along this empty piece of land that you set up for a suburb is different from what you have from a main city. You could try building the streets in a rectangular fashion, which I did in my previous tutorials, but usually suburbs are more artistic and they have less regulation, so usually the roads are all winding about, and you could play around with the streets by using your cursor to bend back and forth the streets. Even though this will increase the commute time and this does not look very efficient in transportation, but it will beautify the city later when you build the suburbs. So right now the crux is to build the streets in a winding fashion that allows most of the land to be covered. You do not want the houses to be too far from the road, otherwise there will be no transportation link and then the houses won't grow. So try to cover as much land as possible, but do give some space for houses that are larger, for instance 3x3 or even 4x4, small villas and houses which will need more space. So as you can see here, the moment I build my streets, I try to connect them back to the big roads and avenues that link to the industrial estates over here. And I also built some roads near the railway tracks that I've already created so that I can build train stations to link my residents up. And right now I'm building train stations around the network of streets with connection to the streets and the railway tracks, so that the residents can transfer to the railway tracks, which will link them up to the industrial hub nearby. And in another tutorial, I shall teach you how to build these railway tracks. And right now, the tutorial is speed up very fast, but what am I doing right now is I'm building commercial shops nearby the railway tracks. This is because most Sims will change transportation devices near the railway tracks, and so it's easier for them to shop and work at the railway track stations where they can easily drive or take bus to the train stations. So these are mini commercial hubs around the region. And after building the commercial hubs, you build the residential hubs. This is a very speed up mode of me zoning the residential zones. As you can see here, I've zoned residential zones of many pieces, including 2x2, 1x2, 3x2, 3x3 and also 4x4. So experimental HUD's content. Hold control when you are zoning the zones so that you'll be able to create variations of zones. And remember to make sure that the residential zones have arrows that point to the streets so that they have road connections and they can grow. After doing the residential zones, you will start to build some amenities to beautify your city. But before doing so, you need to build bus stops. So right now, I'm building bus stops around my industrial, manufacturing and high-tech industries hub, and I'm building bus stops around the entire city, the entire suburb region. When you build bus stops, try to ensure that after putting these bus stops at the streets, make sure they are connected to the streets. Check that the residential zones that you have displaced have arrows that are pointing correctly to the streets. Otherwise, you'll find that there will be no more connections to the roads and the houses won't grow, which will show a no car sign on top of the zones after you have started the simulation. After putting the bus stops, it's time to build some amenities. This is to increase the land value of the region and also decrease the pollution. You can experiment to a heart's content by building a lot of things, including community gardens, parks, gazebos, playgrounds around the residential regions, and also build flower gardens and plazas near the commercial regions. This will increase desirability of the region to grow better houses and shops. And also, you need to zone water pipes to the entire suburb region. So this is no different from building a city center of any sort in SimCity. So if you are finding my tutorials are too long, you can just watch this tutorial, and this is a very brief summary on how to create a new region in SimCity 4. And right now all my water pipes are up and running, so remember to fill all the gaps and build more water pumping stations. And right now, as you can see here, I'm a railway intersection, and there are some blank spaces in the industrial hubs that I haven't been using. So actually, these blank spaces in the suburbs, I can't really find any space for them to build residential homes because the roads are too far away from the zones. And so what I have done is I put grass lots in very large areas, including 4x4 or 6x4, and I've started to put a lot of type of trees on these grass plots. You can choose the different type of trees that you want, and this will help to beautify the city and reduce the pollution by a lot. And right now I'm building police stations in the region to cover the entire suburb region, and I'll also build fire stations later. And this is my city center, which I'm trying to cover up the gaps in the police coverage. And another thing I haven't mentioned about grass lots is that at the start, when you build the streets along the suburbs, you realize that some places of land are very inaccessible to the railway tracks or streets because of the nature of the winding streets that I've placed, which is zigzag and not straight, unlike the industrial hubs and the city center. So in these blank regions, I will decide to build grass lots and build and plant a lot of trees on it, so that you look at a big large region of small vegetation plantation zones, which will help to suck out the pollution and beautify the region. After all, suburbs is about building a place, a living community where there is a lot of greenery and Sims can enjoy it, and this will help to beautify your city a lot. And right now what I have done is that I have put power plants and pumping stations, a basic requirement for all SimCity cities, and connected them to the entire region. And right now, as you can see here, my suburb is all almost up and running. As you can see, it looks it's at the outskirts of the city, and it looks very pretty when viewed from afar. And right now I'm putting hospitals at strategic locations to cover the entire suburb region. And after building the hospitals, I will build schools as well. The important thing when you build hospitals and schools that have such a huge capacity and coverage is that you lower the funding first of the hospitals to about 500 or so, and so also for the school about 500 students or so. And you also check the university and the other educational facilities. And after lowering this funding, you will see that your city will grow when you start your simulation, when you start the timer for the city. And in time to come, the suburbs will grow, and the capacity of the schools will need to increase according to what the Sims need. And if you don't want to build elementary schools in your suburbs, you can try building libraries, because usually Sims that are of a larger age or even old Sims will live in these suburbs, because usually they will have earned a lot of money and they are more wealthy, so they can live in these type of houses. Although this is not always the case, but usually libraries will work more effective for suburbs where there are more people reading the books than going to school, especially if you see your elementary school have very little usage. You can put local branch libraries, but lower the capacity of the libraries first, and then you slowly increase it according to our city's needs as your city grows, as it is right now. So remember to do a check on all the facilities that you have. Check that all the residential zones are connected, the arrows are pointed correctly to the streets, or else you rezone it. Check that the train stations are put properly along the streets and the railway tracks, and check that there's bus stops at the strategic places. So right now, as you can see, my city is growing pretty well. At the start, there will be very low wealth residents living in the suburbs, because the city has just started growing and the land value is very low, so you need to wait a while. And as you can see here, if you see any traffic bottlenecks, you can build streets to connect the regions and try to improve the traffic and the network connections. And to promote high wealth sims from coming into the city, remember to build a country club, because country club will remove the cap. That means the limit of the high wealth sims coming in by a lot. So after building a country club, you can expect more high wealth sims to be coming in, especially when your education and health levels are high and that there's a lot of a qualified and a skilled workforce which will have better jobs and hence have more money to buy and build better houses. So after about the most 5 to 10 years, you'll see beautiful suburbs coming up, like I've shown you in my last YouTube video. And I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial, and this sums up the end of my tutorial. I'm sorry for this very rushed commentary and explanation on how to build the suburbs, but I hope that it is concise enough and detailed enough to help you all on how to construct a suburb of your dreams. And I wish you all the best in city building, and also have a nice day. I hope to see you all again and make more nice tutorials to help you all, and see you soon.